The risk of climate change may not feel as urgent as a global pandemic, but it is more critical and more dangerous than COVID-19 ever was, and we must all act accordingly. The good news is that the upside is truly incredible, and if we get this right, we will reset Australia to compete as never before in the global economy. So the road ahead is challenging, and I've touched on some of the constraints, but there are positive signs as well. Just 2 years ago, the International Energy Agency was reporting that the world didn't have sufficient PV manufacturing capacity to service the world's demand for solar in the transition. That was updated 2 months ago to say that the world now has 165% of the manufacturing capacity it needs to get to net zero. So there's one supply chain at least which is about to start to open up and no doubt see some further cost reductions. And as we've heard a few other speakers say today, the pandemic has taught us quite a few things about this country and how we can respond to an existential threat. And when everyone comes to the party, government, business, industry and community, we can change at speed, we can cut through red tape. And when we rely on science, we can solve intractable problems and drive rapid transformation. In this case, to deliver affordable, reliable, sustainable energy.
I want to thank CEDA for giving me the opportunity of speaking with you this morning. For an organisation dedicated to Australia's economic development, this question of how we make the transition to a more renewable energy-focused economy is perhaps the most critical. Because we really are standing on the cusp of something truly extraordinary. A future powered by cheaper, cleaner, more plentiful, renewable energy. To help, to work cooperatively, to lead wherever we can, and to do it with the sense of urgency that I think most of us feel, because we are in a race. We're trying to get to 82% renewable energy in 82 months. That is a tough goal to have set ourselves. It does feel a little bit like Wallace and Gromit, where they're building the railway tracks as the train is coming along the tracks, the train's racing up behind. And it's why we've moved so quickly this year, passing our safeguard laws, legislating a path to net zero. Since I've become Minister, we've doubled the number of renewable energy projects approved. We're investing $20 billion to rewire the nation. As Paul said, 10,000 kilometres of new transition lines. It's why we're establishing massive offshore wind zones around Australia, the Gippsland and Hunter ones being the most advanced. It's why we're supporting an electric vehicle strategy. It's why we invested $1.6 billion in the last budget to support the electrification of homes and businesses. It's why we're investing in green hydrogen, because we are really rushing to make up for lost time. Australia could already be a global leader, but we have had too many years of inaction. So we need to make sure that the massive industrial scale transformation that we're going through in this country is done as sensitively to nature as is possible. And we also need to show communities that we're being thoughtful here, to bring people along with us, to maintain social licence. So I want to be really clear, it is this government's instinct to support renewable energy projects wherever they're feasible, wherever they're appropriate. Our overwhelming preference is for action, because the absolute worst thing we could do for the environment is to delay our fight against climate change. But it's also true that not every renewable energy project or every transmission line is the right project in the right place. We're not going to put a wind farm floating off the Great Barrier Reef. We're not going to put a hydrogen plant in a World Heritage area. We need to plan where those projects go so that they can be approved and rolled out as quickly as possible with minimal obstacles. This is a real threat to the development of renewable energy projects, to have somehow people claiming that renewables are bad for the environment. So, of course, we have to make sure that we are reassuring people that we are doing as little land clearing as is feasibly possible, that we are locating places in the least environmentally sensitive locations, that they are close to transmission capacity so that they feed into our grid effectively, and so that each energy project is done in the best practice, the closest to best practice it can be for renewable energy projects.
However, despite the size of the challenge we are facing this decade, we should never lose sight of the long-term opportunity that lies in front of us. Australia is well positioned to become a leading economy in decarbonisation and to reap the economic and environmental benefits that come from that. As a nation, we have the ingredients to deliver a successful energy transition. There is strong political alignment and broad-based community support for our nation's decarbonisation goals, including the long-term commitment to be net zero by 2050 or sooner. We have abundant renewable energy resources, particularly wind and solar. We have a mature, well-coordinated and regulated energy market. There is abundant natural gas resources to support the deployment of renewables and help our trading partners decarbonise. There are ample critical minerals that can help build the infrastructure required for the global energy transition, and mature trade relationships and supply chains that can connect our products to key export markets. And lastly, a strong appetite from domestic and international investors willing to deploy capital in this market. We do not shy away from the need to exit all coal-fired power generation as soon as renewable energy, storage and firming generation can replace it. I have observed that last year's overarching narrative of coal-fired plant closures being an overall positive for society has noticeably inverted to one of fear about the lights going out, driving a call by some to delay closures. To me, this just illustrates that we must be better as an industry, governments and regulators combine to build community confidence in the path ahead, reassuring the public that we will carefully manage the exit of coal-fired generators to achieve climate goals, but not at the risk of security and reliability of power supply.
It will take all of our efforts to meet our net zero aspirations and continue to provide the reliable and affordable energy the world needs. There's no doubt expectations of our industry are changing, and we need to keep evolving if we're to meet those expectations. And I firmly believe we're up to the task. Thank you. Natural gas has a long-term role in providing energy as a standalone fuel in peaking power and to complement renewables. Addressing the complex energy issues that we face today can't be done by one country or one company or one industry alone. These challenges require partnerships with all stakeholders. But by finding solutions and working together, Australia can be a leader in a transitioning world. This country is blessed with options, including high-quality natural resources, as well as the geology conducive to large-scale CCS. Close proximity and long-term relationships with key energy customers in the Asia-Pacific region, and experience and strong skill sets in energy that can be leveraged to deploy more CCS and develop new energy such as hydrogen. Australia can continue playing a leading role in providing energy security at home and across the region.